One of the ancient civilizations of humanity, the Chinese civilization, emerged in the Yellow River Basin. Within this region, the Wei River Plain and the Jinsouth Plain are regarded as the cradles of Chinese civilization. The early ancestors, known as the Huaxia people, leveraged their advantageous geographical location to develop an advanced agrarian civilization. This marked a significant leap in human productivity, transforming humans from food gatherers into food producers. The dramatic improvement in productivity stabilized food supplies, allowing some individuals to diverge from agricultural work and specialize in other fields such as scientific research, cultural development, and the arts. The people here live relatively affluent and stable lives, gradually forming the superior Huaxia civilization. Ethnic groups outside of Huaxia, whose level of civilization was inferior to that of the Huaxia people, were referred to as Yidi. The difference between the two stems from the long-standing traditional Huaxia culture. Huaxia traditional culture emphasizes family values centered on filial piety, was the first to establish state mechanisms, and promoted the division of labor and cooperation among people, fostering a sense of responsibility towards society and family. As history progressed, neighboring ethnic groups were gradually influenced by the traditional Huaxia culture, developing and becoming part of the Huaxia civilization, which continued to expand. However, the relatively primitive and underdeveloped Yidi occasionally influenced and disrupted Huaxia's civilized society. More importantly, Huaxia's civilization was not always peaceful. Intense political struggles among opposing internal factions with conflicting interests also impacted cultural traditions, leading to setbacks and social regression. Cultural traditions are so vital to the development of human society that 2,500 years ago, the great ancient Chinese thinker, politician, educator, and founder of Confucianism, Confucius, stated that even a barbaric and backward barbarian tribe with a ruler but no cultural tradition is inferior to a Huaxia state with cultural traditions, but without a ruler. The late Eastern Han dynasty witnessed nationwide turmoil. The central government of the Eastern Han was politically corrupt and incapable of managing regional forces. Various warlords established their own territories, engaging in mutual conflicts and annexations. This marked the beginning of the famous Three Kingdoms period in Chinese history, 220 to 280 CE, characterized by the three warlord regimes of Qiao Wei, Shu Han, and Eastern Wu. From 249 to 280 CE, Sima Yi held actual power over the Qiao Wei regime. His son, Sima Zhao, launched the campaign to conquer Shu Han, and Sima Zhao's son, Sima Yan, usurped the throne of Qiao Wei, establishing the Western Jin dynasty. Sima Yan subsequently defeated Eastern Wu, unifying the country. This brought a brief period of stability and respite for the people. However, the period of stability lasted for less than 11 years. An unprecedented internal conflict, known as the War of the Eight Princes, erupted within the Sima royal family as they fought for control of the central government. This conflict once again dragged the people of the Central Plains into nearly 3 centuries of turmoil. As early as the late Eastern Han and Wei Jin periods, years of warfare led to a dramatic decrease in the population of northern China and the Central Plains, leaving the land barren. Government officials, local warlords, and powerful landlords continuously sought to pacify and settle large numbers of nomadic ethnic groups from the northern frontier into the Central Plains. At its peak, the population of these migrants reached over 10 million, accounting for 2/3 of the population in the region. During the War of the Eight Princes, the infighting among the Sima family's close royal relatives quickly expanded throughout the entire Western Jin dynasty. The military conflicts involving the various regional kings severely weakened the originally powerful military forces of the Western Jin. As a result, the factions had no choice but to rely on mercenaries from the northern nomadic tribes. These barbarians, who had grown up on horseback, skilled in archery and weaponry, and fierce in battle, gradually became the main force fighting for the various factions across the Central Plains. At this time, some nomadic ethnic aristocratic elites who had long been syncretized broke the old rigid ethnic boundaries. They used the organizational and governance concepts they had learned in Han society and the imperial court to form their own ethnically distinctive armies and regimes. Over a period of more than 100 years, various northern ethnic groups and Han people established dozens of states in the northern region of China. This period in Chinese history is known as the 16 Kingdoms period, 304 to 439 CE, marking the first major era of ethnic integration in China. During the 16 Kingdoms period of ethnic integration, every nomadic ethnic king spared no effort in promoting Confucianism. They admired Confucius even more than the Han rulers and believed that only the Confucian virtues of benevolence, righteousness, loyalty, and filial piety could govern a country well. They aimed to transform their people's primitive, backward, and ignorant old thoughts and customs. By learning from the advanced Han culture, they sought to improve their own civilization and establish a foothold in the central plains of Chinese civilization. Shi Lu, 274 to 333 CE, of the Jia ethnic group, was born to ancestors who were part of a Central Asian tribe conquered by the Xiongnu and became slaves in the Xiongnu army before migrating to China. Shi Lu grew up in poverty and often received assistance and charity from his fellow villagers and Han friend, Guo Jing, who helped him with small business ventures. Guo Jing's kindness and compassion left a lasting impression on the young Shi Lu, and he never forgot the help he received, hoping that one day he would have the opportunity to repay Guo Jing. Unknowingly, this kindness gradually led Shi Lu to develop a deep affection for Han culture. Many years later, Shi Lu became the leader of a powerful rebellion against the Western Jin dynasty. During a battle, Shi Lu's rebel forces defeated a military unit composed of Han Chinese exiled peasants organized by the Western Jin court. While inspecting the captured soldiers, Shi Lu unexpectedly recognized an old acquaintance, Guo Jing, and said, "Aren't you Guo Jizi?" At that moment, Guo Jing was among the surrendering troops, and he immediately bowed to Shi Lu, crying, "Yes, it is I." Shi Lu quickly dismounted, took his hand, and, also in tears, said, "My benefactor, I am Shi Lu. Meeting you today must be the will of heaven." He then bestowed clothing and a carriage upon Guo Jing, appointed him as the supreme general, granted amnesty to all the surrendering soldiers, and made them part of Guo Jing's forces. Shi Lu established a special gentleman's camp in his army, where he gathered a group of scholars to offer him advice and strategies. Although Shi Lu was illiterate, he enjoyed having others read historical books to him in his spare time to increase his knowledge. After becoming emperor, he founded schools and promoted cultural development. He is considered one of the most accomplished rulers in terms of cultural and educational achievements during the 16 Kingdoms period. The internal strife within the Sima family of the Western Jin dynasty, known as the War of the Eight Princes, led to a massive upheaval involving multiple ethnic groups during the 16 Kingdoms period. War was brutal, and the people of the Central Plains faced hardship and wandered in distress. However, all ethnic groups were influenced by Confucian culture. Hatred could not extinguish humanity, and the opposing forces were bound by certain constraints in their conflicts, which prevented the war from resulting in a catastrophic extermination of entire peoples.